Generally speaking, we have had good cooperation from the designated quarantine hotels and villas. But of course, we've had a few instances where visitors and some Barbadians returning who have not acted in the most responsible way. And to start with, there is legislation there to deal with such persons. And under the emergency legislation, the penalty for breaching quarantine is up to a maximum of $50,000 or 1 year imprisonment or both. So that is the first thing that we have to do, is to enforce the regulations and the laws. But outside of that, we are doing as much as we can right now to manage the situation. We've not had a lot of fallout from it so far, thank God, and thanks to people who will be working to deal with it. But we are really waiting for the electronic devices to really be brought into service. And by that I'm speaking about wristbands that will allow us to track persons. And we have geofencing the facilities and some COVID apps that will be coming on stream within the next week or 2 weeks. And actually we have some members of the company that's dealing with this for us that have flown in and are here now doing training with our IT personnel to be able to mobilize the app and the wristband. So once we have these, that is going to significantly enhance our capability in terms of being able to monitor persons wherever they are, in whichever facility that they are in. Additionally, we have had discussions with the police and the defense force in relation to having a joint mobile patrol that is available 24/7 to respond immediately to any breaches. So we'll be able to detect them early based on the electronic platform that we are establishing. And then we have mechanisms in place to be able to respond and deal with such persons. And of course, the legislation is there. The officers will be safe. We've been doing a lot of training, even with taxi drivers who have to transport persons, so that people know what they have to do, because at the end of the day, as I always say, it is up to each and every one of us to take care of ourselves, to follow the protocols. And if we do the right things as individuals, then we would be able to assist in a collective way in terms of containing anything that comes our way. So the police, everyone will be included in that sensitization. So yes, it is becoming an issue. We've had a few, as I have indicated. The chief medical officer has written to those establishments where things have not been going the way that we expect them to go. We have increased the number of persons for the COVID monitoring unit to be able to monitor on a continuous basis what is happening across the island. And I'm sure that once we have the digital platform in place with all of the apps and so on that we've commissioned, that we will be in a far better place and we can relax in terms of that particular situation.
Is there any plan by the ministry to reintroduce the ASR or the same Mr. Carter again?
No, let me say that Mr. Carter has returned to his substantive job, but the appointment of the SAR is really the Prime Minister's. That was done at a higher level, and it was not for the Ministry of Health, but it was for COVID in all of its complexities. Because as you know, COVID is much more than a health pandemic. There's economic impacts, and we depend on commercial Barbados, we depend on residential Barbados, we depend on visitors. So that is the role of the SAR, to really be the eyes and the ears and to really coordinate the response to protocols, adherence to protocols, and so on. But I think that is being given some thought at this point in time by the relevant authority.
When will the digital platform be activated?
We are expecting that by the end of the month that we will start to do some trials with the platform, just to make sure that any kinks are ironed out early. But definitely in the early part of November, we expect to be operational.
What is your general message to the public at this time about what the ministry is doing to keep everyone safe?
My general message is, first of all, to congratulate and thank Barbadians and residents. Generally speaking, we are where we are, which is in a relatively safe place because people have been cooperating. Yes, we've had instances where people have not been acting responsibly, but this is not a perfect world, and we're not expecting perfection, but we have to strive for perfection. And we want to say to all Barbadians to continue to look after yourself. That is your personal responsibility in the same way that it is mine. Because I'm Minister of Health and Wellness and I have all of these people behind me, my team, that's not going to help me, Jeffrey Bostic, if I don't look after myself. And that is what I want to say to each and every Barbadian. Even within a hotel setting, even though hotels and business places will have protocols in place, it is still up to every worker, every member of staff to make sure that they look after themselves, because we cannot depend on people coming from the outside to keep us safe. We have to do it ourselves.
These people who have breached their quarantine, are they being charged?
Well, I can tell you one person is being charged so far, and one of the persons that went missing, the police actually had him in custody yesterday, and I believe a second one today. But the decision to charge, that is being investigated at the moment by the police, and then we'll see where we go from there. But fortunately, those persons tested negative on their second test, so it is not a worry, but that is not the point. The point is that we have protocols, and all persons who come to this country, just as if a Barbadian goes to another country, we have to follow the protocols of that country. We expect visitors to follow the protocols that are established by the Ministry of Health and Wellness of Barbados.